Welcome to Open Studio, a program where we put a spotlight on the arts, artists, and issues in the cultural community. I'm Tom Musgrave. On today's segment, I'm chatting with Austin Vahle, Arts Magnet Coordinator at the new Visual and Performing Arts Academy at Harrison Elementary School in Lexington. We'll talk about the program's origins, what it's all about, and what it means for Lexington students. So welcome, Austin.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Describe the Visual and Performing Arts Academy. What are students getting to experience with that?
Yeah, so the Visual and Performing Arts Academy at Harrison is a K-5 lottery-based magnet program where students from across Fayette County can apply to come to the school. And we're really focused on an arts for all approach to where we are breaking down the bridges, or building bridges, really breaking down those barriers to allow access to the arts for all students. And so we do that through arts programming, through our 5 artistic disciplines where students can receive a major. They choose those 2 majors, and that's kind of what they focus on through their K-5 experience. But in addition to that, we focus on learning through arts integration. And so instead of just sitting at a table like we find in many schools across the nation, what we are doing is displaying mastery of our learning and content through the arts. And so that's what we kind of strive for all of our teachers to do. And we build partnerships through community associations that are specifically grounded in the arts, but also national organizations that allow for our students to have these exceptional learning experiences.
And I do want to get into that a little later, but I wanted to backtrack. And can you explain briefly to listeners what lottery-based means?
Yeah, so our lottery-based program means it's non-auditioned based. And so if I have the resources, of course I can master an audition and I can go in and excel, right? But what happens when we have natural raw talents and how do we pour into those individuals that maybe don't have those resources, or maybe they do? And so this is an arts for all approach where students can apply just based on interest. And then we, just like the general lottery, if we're playing the Powerball, right? We all have our little card, we have our number, and we know, there's a chance, right? And so through that, we admit however many seats are available for the upcoming academic year, and then those students get to attend the magnet program.
So it sort of supports accessibility to the program.
Absolutely, yes.
So how young can students get started? What grade do they start?
Yeah, so the magnet program starts immediately in kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
So we have many kindergarten families that are touring our school each week, seeing all of the offerings that we have. And so based on kindergarten status, you can apply then, but you can also apply all the way up through 5th grade. And so once we go out of 5th grade, we partner with Lexington Middle, which is our sister school for the arts. And so if a student wants to have a K-8 experience, they can certainly have that by going to Lex Middle following Harrison.
You mentioned earlier that students are required to do 2 majors in this program. What are some of the majors that you offer?
Yes, we have theater, dance, visual art, music. We have band and orchestra for 4th and 5th graders. And we also have physical arts, which is basically our physical education, but really bringing in arts integration within that classroom as well.
Tell us how the program originated. What was the catalyst that got it started?
Yeah, so last year, in 2024, I guess now 2 years, Fayette County received the largest discretionary grant ever that they had received, which was a $15 million grant across 5 years. And so they deemed 3 different schools magnet schools, and that was Breckenridge, Crawford, and Harrison. And so each of those schools kind of received this grant and are working kind of intuitively to create these experiences for students. And so we were deemed that sister pathway for Lexington Middle for close proximity, but also just to make sure that those students in that area of Lexington were able to receive high and enriched arts education experiences. And so Harrison was deemed that, and then it kind of from there flourished. And so last year, this school year was our first year of full implementation for the Visual and Performing Arts program. So we're going into our 2nd year and never looking back.
Is there a commitment on the part of the Board of Education to support this program beyond the 5 years of the grant?
So what we are doing internally within the school, but also I know the district is looking at what is the future for this program. And so we really are using this funding to enhance what is in our building that is sustainable, right? And so what are some things that we can provide for our students that are currently going to exists beyond that 5 years, right? And so this goes with performance gear. It goes with a full new dance studio, right? And so really bringing it, there's a podcast studio, all of these different elements where our students are able to see beyond. So really investing in the right things. But what we're also looking at is sustainability within our school. And so having fundraisers that really pour into a pot of money where we are then not touching that. And then it's almost like an endowment later down the road where we're able to now pull that money and continue to provide high and enriched arts experiences. So where the board would necessarily pretty much only have to cover the cost of teachers in those arts disciplined areas.
That's great, because normally you hear about grants that are over a period of time, 2-3 years, and there's really, the difficulty is that, okay, this is great. What are we going to do to sustain this after this money runs out? So
Absolutely.
it's good to know that there's a plan for that. I know the program is relatively young. You've got 1 full year under your belt in the second year, but after that 1 year, what have you observed the impact has been on students?
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we've done this year is really partnered a lot with arts organizations here in Lexington. And what I have found more than anything is the commitment to artistry within our youth that Lexington has, right? And so bringing in these different groups, they're really enriching the arts education experience, but they're also allowing our students to see themselves in areas where they haven't seen themselves before. And so they're coming in, they're having these partnerships. But what I'm also learning on the other side is that arts integration is really trending our data scores, and it's really allowing our students to explore learning in a unique and different way, where I might not have be able to demonstrate mastery in math traditionally. Now, when we explore dance or we explore theater through math, right now it's something of interest. I have more buy-in to go and explore mastery, right, and being able to really perform at high levels. And then, of course, the arts areas that we have in our school now are really allowing opportunities that I never had, right? And I didn't necessarily go to a performing arts school, right? I was in Jessamine County, and I'm just looking back now and seeing, wow, these opportunities exist, and it's an arts for all approach. There are no walls that are being put up, right? And anybody that wants to go here, if they win the lottery, right, they get to go here. And so we're seeing data trending higher. Our students are performing, but also they're coming to school. And I think that's another huge thing. We implemented clubs, which is where I was talking about arts programming. That's every Wednesday, the last hour of the day, we drop everything and students choose a club of their choice. Many of them are arts focused, but we also want our students to have a well-rounded lens. And so we have different offerings that are non-arts as well. And we're seeing a higher trend on Wednesdays in attendance, where Wednesdays traditionally in a school might be the lowest attended day. And so strategically thinking about, okay, Wednesdays is that day. How are we going to trend our data higher with attendance? And so really looking at pouring the arts heavy on Wednesdays is allowing our students to attend school. We're seeing trending higher, which is ultimately greater sustainability and impact of our students.
Well, I do want to ask about the community connection and collaboration, but first I want to ask, what has anything surprised you about the student work that came out of the first year and that is coming out of the second year?
Yeah, we're seeing students really pour in what are the experience we bring into the classroom, right? The arts are a huge collaborative effort, right? And so we're seeing collaboration being built within our classrooms. We're seeing empathy being built, right? And ultimately, that's what we hope the arts do. But a lot of times we don't see the result of that if we are out performing a show, right? Let's say I'm on stage. While we're building empathy within our audiences, we might not see that empathy, right? And we might not see that impact. Whereas we're in the school traditional setting, right? We're able to see the growth. We're able to see the impact that it's having on students' lives. And so they're building this collaborative workforce where they're able to empathize with their peers. They're able to go in, and while I might not agree with you, right, we can communicate, we can come to a conclusion together, right? And so we're seeing that impact, but we're also seeing, like I mentioned, higher performance in their test scores. We're also seeing a love for learning develop, and a love for the arts, right? And we're never in it. I always say we're never in it to build the next Broadway star. We're never in it to build the next artist that you're going to find in MoMA, right? What we are in it to build is more collaborative, empathetic learners, right? Who are able to, maybe they want to do that, and if so, yay, we can provide them the resources to do that. But maybe I just want to be a patron of the arts, and I say just very loosely because a patron is something that we need, right?
Yes.
And so really pushing those students to see themselves in the arts, whether it be a patron, whether it be a contributor. And so, yeah, it's great.
I've talked to many patrons who they are patrons because of those education experiences they were lucky enough to have as youth. So I do. So now I want to ask about these collaborations with community organizations. I was doing some research on the program, and I saw the word residencies and teaching artists. What are some examples of bringing that community into the school to work with the students?
Yeah, so we've partnered with many arts organizations, majority of which are coming in on Wednesdays during those club offerings. And so Uniting Voices Lexington Philharmonic, Lexington Children's Theater is doing a lot of partnerships where we're able to kind of go and see shows for a reduced rate, but also focused on Voices Amplified has come in and done some work. And so we're really creating an experience where students see themselves outside of just the traditional educational experience, right? And so if this is something that I want to do, I can go out into the community and I can do it. And here's the level of involvement that it's going to take, right? And so they're pouring into our youth, and what they're finding is that their youth programs are thriving, right? And that they're able to recruit a different dynamic of students, right? And different group than traditionally they might not have been able to do. And until they see accessibility might be an issue, right? In some of these circles, it's never going to improve. And so what we're finding is that we're seeing opportunities being offered to students, but also we love these partnerships, and we're finding that we're better collectively, right, than we are alone. And so we hope that this enriches our arts community just as much as they are enriching our school. And talking more about sustainability and how we're kind of partnering beyond is with a fundraiser and talking about residencies. We're bringing in 2 to 3 Broadway artists in March where students will get to participate in master classes, and then they'll be hosting a big concert at Singletary Center in March as well, where they're performing alongside Broadway artists. And so just being able to allow the students to really see that people are pouring into them, right, where sometimes they may not, right, ever see that. It's really astounding, truly, and it's an opportunity that I tell the parents who tour all the time, you're not going to find this anywhere else, right? And it's hard work, but it's heart work, right? And our teachers have that heart, and they have that passion, and they drive, and they see the impact of the arts in that educational experience, and so it's been great.
Have the students? You said they're sort of seeing themselves in those roles. Is there sort of a mystique or a pulling back of the curtain when they get to see an actual actor or musician in front of their faces as opposed to being on TV? Or in the case of visual arts, there's the art that I remember learning growing up was by basically dead white Europeans. Not to denigrate that work, it's important, but you know, it's a different time now. A lot of people are making art, and students need to see themselves reflected in those artists. Have you noticed that kind of impact that they're getting out of this? That's a real person who's alive. I could do this too.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we are really big on is the culturally responsiveness, a teaching side to it, right? And so we're really finding, okay, when we do these arts integration lessons, when we bring in performance groups to our school, are they reflective of our student body? Are they reflective of the students who are within our magnet program? And so, yes, they are. It's very much a, whoa, this is something that truly exists, right? And we say an actor beyond TV, right? And looking in retrospective, not just film actors, right? But thinking in regards to theater, majority of our students that were really residential-based students around that area of Harrison Elementary, they had never seen a live performance, right? And so to them, it's two things. It's one, this exists, right? And two, there's people, and this is a job, and this is a profession, but also beyond that spotlight, there's other opportunities as well. And so we never want it to be, we always say, find your spotlight, right? Because somebody's spotlight might be off stage where somebody's is on and somebody's is in a studio, right? And so we encourage our students to find their own spotlight, whether that be performance-based or not. And so they're seeing and learning every single day that it's an opportunity and there is access and it's possible.
Yeah, a live Broadway show, especially a musical, is probably a really good lab because you've got the actors on stage, the artists who create the scenery, whether they're painting or whether they're doing carpentry work on that, the musicians in the pit, lots of, and then of course the people that you don't see, the lighting and stage managers.
Yeah, and we have a lot of students this semester really focused on the second semester that are going to go attend Broadway national tours in Cincinnati and Louisville and even here through the Broadway Buddies program at the Lexington Opera House. And so they're able to truly see the impact that it has in the environment, really, that's created when we collaborate and we tell these stories that are told on stage.
I want to close this by asking, how does this connect with the middle school magnet and then SCAPA? Is there is this a plan that one feeds into the other?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, Lexington Middle is the sister program, right? And so if a student wants to go through a K through 8 experience, then they can certainly do that through Harrison and then Lex Middle, really offering kind of the same scaffolded program through majors-based program at the middle school level. And so we partner in that way, but also bringing them in and how can we fulfill our mission of that sister promise with performance opportunities where they're collaborating alongside each other. And so we're looking at Lexington Middle to really bring them in kind of on that Broadway concert as well that we had mentioned, so that they can kind of see, oh, this is beyond Harrison. It's something that exists beyond these walls, right? And then, of course, there are some students who are excelling beyond, and if they want to stay, that is fantastic. We want them to stay, right, and stay in that K through 8 pathway. But some of them want to go on and they want to pursue maybe SCAPA, right, which is an audition-based process. We do know, though, that there are so limited numbers, right, of opportunities at SCAPA where it is an audition-based process. And so just as we are limited with the number of seats that we can fill at Harrison. And so this is really, to me, it's not a competition, right? It's an opportunity where we're able to enhance the number of opportunities and the number of seats for students that want to excel and they want to see themselves in the arts. And what I have found, even just beyond Harrison and doing work that I do here in the region, is that there is a huge need for this, right? And so if our students want to do it at SCAPA's level, if they want to do it at Harrison, if they want to do it at Lex Middle, as a district and as a school, we are pouring into those students, whether they choose whichever, right? And so, it's just enhancing and increasing the number of opportunities across the district.
And it sounds like you're making students who are capable and confident in auditioning down the road, even if they're not coming from an audition situation to get into Harrison.
Absolutely. And actually, in SCAPA, you audition in the 3rd grade for the 4th grade, right? And so Harrison is a kindergarten experience on. And so what we would hope is that all the students that want to pursue the arts in any facet, dependent upon what way that is through Fayette County Public Schools, that they start at Harrison, right? Because they will gain those skills. They'll find themselves being able to speak in front of large crowds. They'll be able to communicate, collaborate, build empathy, right? And so it's only going to make them a stronger contender down the road for whatever they decide to pursue.
Well, I feel like we've just kind of gotten the tip of the iceberg in the short amount of time we've been able to talk about this. How can parents who are listening to this, who are interested I realize it's a lottery, but if they're interested in learning more about the program, like, do I want to enter this lottery for my child? Where can they find out more information?
Yeah, they can go on our website, fcps.net/Harrison, or they can follow us on all social media platforms, which is VPAA at Harrison for the Visual and Performing Arts. And there's where we post all of our information about school tours, as well as application process deadlines, all of the things that they need to know to make sure that they're set up and ready to go to Harrison.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank Austin Vahle, Arts Magnet Coordinator at the new Visual and Performing Arts Academy at Harrison Elementary School, for joining me today. Thanks, Austin.
Thank you.
Listen to Open Studio every Friday during WUKY's Morning Edition and in the afternoon during All Things Considered. Or listen to extended segments at the Open Studio podcast, available at wuky.org or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you have an idea for an Open Studio segment? We're always on the lookout for news and events in Central Kentucky's arts and cultural community. Email us at openstudiowuky@gmail.com or visit our Facebook page, keywords Open Studio on WUKY. Your idea may make it on the air. I'm Tom Musgrave. Thanks for listening to Open Studio on WUKY.